The presenting sponsor of Real VC is iGuide. Fast and accurate 3D tours. Find out more information at upmarket.media/iGuide. Coming to you from the Upmarket studio in beautiful San Buenaventura, California. This is That's my other show. Coming to you from the Upmarket studio in beautiful San Buenaventura, California. This is Real VC, a podcast all about Ventura County real estate. My name is Reed Fish. I'm the CEO and a co-founder of Upmarket Media. Katie Connolly.
Hello, Reed.
Banker, Realtor.
Yes.
With a capital R trademark after it. Yeah.
I have my pin on today.
You do?
So you wouldn't forget.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Wonderful. And then Molly Peart here producing, of course.
Hi.
Hello, Molly. Tessa Nelson also helping us out today. And this is exciting because this is a subject we're going to talk about today that I actually have interest in.
I love that for you.
I know. This is exciting. But to help us out with that, we have Merilee Iverson here. And Merilee, just fill me in. Where are you located? What's your deal?
Right. So I'm primarily in Westlake Village. So I work more on the Conejo Valley side of Ventura County. But I'm with Real Broker. And so I have a team and I have agents across Ventura County, across the country, actually, that I support and work with. So yeah, I host an agent community that does a networking event every week. So up in Westlake Village, Coffee and Collab. So we do that as well as being a forms trainer for CAR.
Okay. Yeah. I need forms training.
Stay away from forms, Reed.
I'm not a form guy. It's all right. I'm good. I don't need it in my job. But Merilee, Katie, there has been we try to focus on Ventura County here, but I think nationally there has been some big changes happening in the real estate world, and it's basically all these mergers and acquisitions and consolidations. So what? There's like one brokerage now that own everything.
Not one, but a few.
Yeah.
So Merilee, can you walk us through in the last year what are the big mergers and what's the landscape looking like in terms of those deals now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the big one that really shook the industry was announced last fall, finalized in January of this year, was the Compass acquisition of Anywhere. So for those that don't know, the Anywhere brand covers Coldwell Banker, ERA, Century 21, Sotheby's. So a lot of the big brand names that the consumers are very familiar with are all part of that umbrella of Anywhere. So Compass acquiring them, and that happened in January. That was quite a significant shakeup in the industry. On the heels of that, just in the last month, there was the announcement that Real Broker, which is where I'm at, is acquiring RE/MAX. So the Compass Anywhere acquisition created this mega brokerage of 330,000 agents, something like that. The Real RE/MAX combined organization is going to be about 180,000 agents.
Okay.
So now you're seeing these, what were large organizations to start with, coming together and creating these mega organizations that have a lot of influence now on what's happening in the industry.
Yeah. Well, how many agents are there total in the U.S.? Do you have a number on that? I feel like
I think it's like 1.6.
Yeah, 1.5, 1.6, somewhere in there, fluctuates.
So you're looking at like a third of the agents in the country are with these two brokerages at this point.
Well, and EXP acquired.
And then EXP, right after that, EXP announced their acquisition of Next Home.
Right.
So that put
franchise
them
model.
in that close to that 100,000 range too.
It just doesn't seem good to me. I don't know. I don't. Well, and I don't know if you feel conflicted talking about your feelings about it because you're with Real, but what is the upside of this for the average agent?
Well, I think the upside for the agent is there's a variety of things, right? We're seeing so much compression on compensation. From a client perspective, they're negotiating hard. I'm sure you see that with you and your clients too, that they're negotiating hard on compensation to start with. It became very much a focal point after that NAR settlement too, more transparency around compensation. So there's that. But then just the volume of transactions in the industry has been low for many years now. So when there's compression on the compensation itself, and then the volume of transactions is low, then agents are looking for everywhere that they can to increase their bottom line. And so some of these big organizations then create a scenario where you can have economies of scale from a support perspective, which is how you get to, improving those splits in some cases, or providing more value to the agents because you've got a much bigger organization that's negotiating things like pricing for a CRM. So that's, I think, can be very helpful to the agents.
Sure.
And then they have this agent to agent networking and referrals and stuff like that. So being in a big organization helps with that.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of, in all the talk about all the mergers, the big companies are saying like, we're agent centric. And what I'm not hearing is we're consumer centric.
Well,
like, what does this do for the consumer?
That's my next question.
Right?
Yeah.
Look at us.
Yeah.
We didn't even practice that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so how is this good for the average homeowner or prospective home buyer?
Well, that's kind of a loaded question right now, I think, with all of the
That's
stuff
why I
happening with
asked
the
it.
MLS and private networks, and whether or not that is a good thing for a consumer is definitely a very divided field of thought on that, I think, within the industry. So there's definitely those who believe that keeping listings private is a positive thing for both the client and the agent.
Is there someone who feels that way, like Compass, maybe?
I mean,
Is that, yeah, I don't know.
Way, trying to be, tread lightly on that topic. But I'm happy to get on my soapbox and say I don't think that is a good thing for most consumers. What I find is that, the more exposure, the better, just generally from an economic perspective and a marketing perspective, what's better for consumers. What I find unfortunate is that there are times, I think, where they're having a listing kept privately or not going so publicly may benefit some outlying consumers. And now it's becoming even to the point where we're seeing legislation in some states that are going to require a property to go on the MLS. Washington State just finalized that. It's going to go into play as a law in June. And so then even if maybe in this scenario where being off market would have been something that the client would have liked, they don't even have that option anymore in that state. So I think it's a little unfortunate that it's gotten to be such a public battle that the government is now having to step in.
Yeah, when we see a pendulum swing so far one way, it swings just as far the other way. And then I feel like somehow, we balance in the middle. But of course, we have celebrities here adjacent to us that don't want their homes on the MLS. Maybe like a combative divorce situation. People don't want the other side to know that they're selling something. Like there are situations where it's just, it becomes a safety issue too.
Right.
Police officers, like government officials. So yeah, having it mandated is a little harsh.
I feel like it's become this big battle over the data associated with the listing, and at the end of the day, that listing actually belongs to the seller. It's their property. And so I think it's unfortunate that it's now just become this big battlefield between, really right now it's between Compass, Zillow, and the MLSs. And, not a lot of people are really looking at how is this affecting the everyday seller.
Yep.
It's not going well for the everyday seller. I feel like, the way things are going, it's like, and I think that's just thematically in our society. It's the big corporations are trying to get bigger, and who's it at the expense of? It's of all of us, right? So, we feel that in the real estate media world. It's just like, there's Zillow and CoStar, who owns Homes.com, are at war, absolute war. And we're all the ones getting screwed. So it's the real estate media people, and it's all the agents, and then by virtue of that, the homeowners. It's just like we can't, like, we've selling products for years and years and years. Now they won't even show it on Zillow. Like, you can't show a Matterport tour on Zillow, and it's like, who wins in that scenario? So I don't.
Yeah, and the rich getting richer, and this bigger, and the income gap is always a challenge. And we look at companies like Amazon that went from selling books to now you can buy toothbrushes, like you can buy anything on Amazon. But we have cities like Ventura and other places across the U.S. that are really supportive of like local business. So I hope that I have a soft space in my heart for indie brokerages.
Sure.
So hopefully, they don't get washed away. I think it's going to kind of be this big bubble. And then people are going to say, just like people say, I don't support Amazon. People are going to say, hey, I don't support making the rich richer. Like, I want my indie friend that's been doing real estate for 30 years to list my house because I believe in them. I trust them. I want my money to go to their family.
Well, it's still about personal relationships, right?
Absolutely.
Isn't there data that shows, and I think anecdotally, from what I hear, is actually most like home sellers, unless it's maybe a luxury thing, like they need Sotheby's name on there or whatever, the name of the brokerage isn't as important as the agent that is going to be selling the house, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like, I mean, for me, like if I was selling a house, I'd want like a well-made logo out there. Some of these indie brokerages logos are so terrible, but I have some standards, but it's
How many calls are you going to get from realtors that watch this show now sending you their logos?
No,
Do I pass the test?
Hey, lucky for them, I don't own a home, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I guess the whole squeeze on it is the little brokerages I worry about. It is like the independent, all the vendors that you guys use, including us. I mean, these large companies are really trying to tilt everything in their favor. And they've already, and I can get on the real estate media soapbox for, we were just talking about it before Merilee showed up. But basically, Zillow built a $10 billion business by stealing photos from real estate photographers. I mean, if they never had access to our photos, Zillow wouldn't exist. And it was the MLSs who gave them those without asking us. But it's.
But I mean, I hope that that's an advantage of mergers and acquisitions. Tell me if you agree or not. Is that these bigger companies can then help fight these other big companies on how to do things the right way.
But I know what Compass is doing already, and what I've heard, and we don't have a big deal with Compass ourselves or any of their brokerages on the brokerage level. But, certain like the concierge services at Coldwell and things like that. So basically Compass has deals with a bunch of real estate media people. And to say, hey, we do all the photos, do all the media for this brokerage. And of course you're going to get a discounted price on that. Right. So now I guess a couple months ago, they just started sending letters to everybody saying, oh, and additionally, you're going to pay us 10% back at the end of every month.
Compass is going to pay the photographer, or the photographers?
No, the photographers are going to pay back Compass 10% of what they've spent every single month. And basically it's take it or leave it. And so, so that's what's happening. That's what's going to happen. It's not going to be Compass standing up for real estate photographers. I'll tell you that. Yeah. It's not going to be Zillow standing up for real estate photographers.
No, I don't think anybody's standing up for real estate photographers, unfortunately.
No, and it's up to us. And of course, we're not organized. There is talk about organizing. I mean, it's like I'm connected with a bunch of I'm in a position where I'm kind of in those talks, and so we do feel like we have to protect ourselves, and because everyone else is just too big. We can't fight, if we don't band together, So
same with, our industry is threatened all the time too. So same with realtors. That's why we do have associations that kind of band together and really fight for our independent status, independent contractor status, like that kind of stuff.
Well, and I think that's the thing too, when you're talking about small business, even an agent that's within a big brokerage, really at the end of the day, they're independent contractors, they're entrepreneurs, they are a small business. Each individual agent is their own small business. And so they have to decide where they are going to be that's going to help provide them, the support and the tools and whatever that they need, or if they're going to do it completely independently. I do think, though, it's going to be harder and harder for those agents, for them to be able to compete at a fully independent level, which is going to be rough. Because there's some great indies out there. I grew up in the indie world, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but that's how we think of our clients is these are entrepreneurs. They have their own businesses. So, we're like a business to business, a business, a B2B.
Yeah. B2B.
Yeah. And so, and that's what I always get about all you guys coming together, but you're also competing with each other in the same market. And it's like, I don't know, the whole real estate thing is weird, man.
It's collaborative competition.
Yeah. The collaborative competition is hard. Yeah. We are so grateful to be supported by iGuide in our endeavor of the Real VC podcast. So iGuide is, for my money, the best 3D solution out there in real estate media. It is agnostic by the platform. We've talked about it a little bit on the show, but if you're doing another brand of 3D tours, you can't even show those on Zillow anymore. The iGuide can be shown everywhere, including the MLS, including Zillow, including Homes.com, including Realtor.com. All the places that you want your clients to see the media that you are producing. And not only can you show it anywhere, the product that you show is fantastic. It's a great 3D tour. It's accurate. And then we can also produce site plans. That's the really exciting thing. This is the first time we have an easy solution to go and map out the entire property for you. If you want to learn more and maybe even order one from us, you can go to upmarket.com/iGuide.
in talking about mergers and going back to being like client and consumer centric, how do these multi-million-dollar mergers, billion-dollar, excuse me, billion with a B, affect consumers that are trying to buy or sell, specifically buy homes in Ventura County?
Yeah, I think that buying is an interesting element, because when you see these, we talk a lot in this private listing market about how that impacts sellers, but not a lot of people are talking about how it impacts the buyers. And I really do feel like that's where it's an even bigger issue, because the buyers, if they're not, unfortunately, cat's out of the bag from a seller or from a Zillow perspective.
Right.
So it's just synonymous with search for homes is Zillow. That's the vernacular for the clients.
Yeah.
So they're looking at Zillow. That's where they're going. But now we have places like Imred in Chicago cutting off their Zillow feed. Yesterday they announced that the big MLS that supports most of Tennessee and Georgia, they're cutting off their Zillow feed. So, but what happens to the buyer now? They can't go to one spot, can't even go to one MLS in some cases and find all of the properties. So it becomes really tricky for a buyer and not a good experience for them to have to go to different places. So now you're going to see, is it brokerages that are going to be creating, that's what I'm hearing on my side, is that brokerages are going to be creating the tech that pulls in as many of these listings as they can. But at the end of the day, I think you're going to lose this one singular platform for buyers to find everything. And that's just going to be a frustrating experience. I certainly wouldn't want to have to go to 3 or 4 or 5 different websites and talk to a bunch of different agents just to find out what's on the market.
Yeah, I see that in rentals. I have friends that think I'm in real estate, so I just do everything housing, and they're like, hey, I'm looking for a rental, which is equally as hard here in Ventura County as purchasing a home. And I just have this one sheet that has, probably 7 different sites of property managers and, what sites are good, what sites are not good, what sites to avoid. And they're still calling me like, hey, I saw this for rent down my street, but I didn't see it. And I'm like, it could be anywhere. It's kind of like the wild, wild west finding rentals out there.
Right.
And people are scouring neighborhoods, scouring sites, and it's not a pleasant experience, like you said.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Not a good thing for the buyers and not a good thing for the agents, because we also got our hands tied with the NAR settlement that they have to sign buyer representation agreements. So now how much harder do the buyer's agents have to work to even find these properties? And if they're not on the MLS, are they cooperating with another broker? Like it is wild west.
Everyone will just have a Claude agent, and then the Claude agent will find all
look for all of that. Exactly.
That's exactly
that is
what's
going to happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, but also, aren't the MLSs aren't going to cut off the Realtor.com feed? I would imagine.
I've not heard that they're planning to do that.
Yeah, well, exactly. So, that's the play. If all the MLSs just cut off Zillow and Homes.com and then just go right to, but the agents don't want it because they're getting leads from Zillow and Homes.com. It's just it's a convoluted mess, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
again, hopefully the pendulum swings far one way and then comes back to
find that middle ground.
Be really
just go
balanced.
back to the way we were. It was working just fine there for a while.
No, but the richest of the rich weren't making as much money.
Right.
So it had to change.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So that's it's kind of
it's true.
Yeah, it is true.
So I love that you touched on Claude and a little. Well, Claude's my favorite AI, by the way.
Hey, great.
But I've heard Merilee talk about AI before. It's kind of like not your secret gift, but you'll talk about it publicly, like that you utilize it.
I do utilize it.
So how? We've talked about how realtors can use it, but how, in addition to what Reed said, do you think consumers can use AI in their home buying process?
Well, I think search is going to be a big thing, right? For sure. ChatGPT has an app with Zillow, with Redfin, with Realtor.com now, so that those listing feeds can go into to that one spot in ChatGPT. So whether it's Claude Chat or some other format, I think they are definitely going to use it for search. I think that we're seeing them load the contracts in, and looking for Claude or any of the AIs to give them that explanation, which is a little bit concerning because it's not always accurate. Same thing when agents start using it. I'm really concerned about the day when the agents can just talk to their AI tool and have it generate the contract for them, which is coming extremely rapidly, like probably this year that's going to happen.
We talked about that. Yeah.
And
there's going to be a bunch of bad contracts.
There's going to be a bunch of bad. And then the bigger thing is that I think if the agent's not filling out the contract, learning the contract, I know you like me are like such a contract
nerd. Yeah, I love that stuff.
Then they can't explain it either. And they don't know when something has maybe not, something's happening in the transaction that's not within the contract limits. So I think that that's a little bit problematic. I had an agent recently that said, "Oh, I asked ChatGPT which contract to use, and they said this, but you said that, and you gave me a different answer, but ChatGPT said this, so that's what I'm going to do." And I was like, "No, it's wrong. Please, don't trust it for that." So clients, I think, will be depending on AI to help them through the process, and it's not always accurate.
That's true.
I would
and
say
then
it's often not accurate.
it's often not accurate. And then we have sellers that are not, and buyers too, that are not as internet savvy or as tech savvy that already get taken advantage of in these kind of situations. And we're going to see those people even more being taken advantage of because they don't know how to even Google stuff, you know?
That's true.
Well, and you can Google it, but then what you get is Google AI.
Yeah.
So I mean and that's the thing. And even I'm not anti AI, but I'm kind of I'm not that into it. And I don't want to be searching AI. But even I'll do a Google search, and then it's like, okay, well I get oh no, it's just the AI overviews right there. And I was like, then that's what I look at. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. And then of course I did it the other day, and I based a business decision on it. And of course it was completely wrong, and I screwed myself. So it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was like, whoa, what am I doing? Because I was in a hurry, and that's what the first thing that came up on my phone when I searched it. So
yep, I had a problem with AAA recently. I got a flat tire. I had to scan the QR code on my AAA card because they don't have the phone number anymore. And they said, enter your zip code. My zip code's been the same for the past 30 years. Zip code that matches this account. I typed it in 8 times. Unmatching. And I'm ready to kill this chatbot. I have a flat tire. So it's supposed to be better, and but it sucks when there's errors and that kind of thing.
Of course.
Yeah. Let me talk to a person.
Yeah.
But I do think that will make those who are skilled and knowledgeable more valuable. But I think the gap for agents, the skilled, extremely knowledgeable agents, and the ones that have kind of been gliding along for a long time, I think that gap is going to get bigger.
Are people going to listen to the skilled agents? I mean, that's the thing is I you just had that experience where the agent was like, this is going to trust ChatGPT over you. And I don't really know you, but I would trust you over ChatGPT about real estate stuff.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Or, back to the consumer doing the same thing, Googling something or AI inputting something and then challenging their professional that they hired to either help them buy or sell a house and say, no, you don't know anything. This is what the internet told me.
Right, but just why I get back to the agent has to know what the contract actually says so that they can pull it out, point to the specific clause and say, read this. This is what this actually says. And so once I did that with the agent, she was like, oh, wow, they got it wrong. I'm like, oh,
yes.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
It's all artificial intelligence, not just intelligence. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems a little grim, man. I don't know. It's but I do think, and what we talk about in our business, and it's this authenticity, right? And feeling and having that human touch, and and knowing your shit. Yeah, it's being good at what you're doing, and then hopefully that's going to let you stand out in this and the really smart agents are going to be leveraging AI to their advantage, but not, but hopefully not relying on it for everything.
Right.
So,
And then fact checking it for sure.
Yeah. So in your business, Merilee, what are you using AI for?
I use it a lot for just more creating those systems and staying systematic on things. So I'll do a lot of email communication. So I still write my own emails, but I let it kind of help along with the process, to proof it or make it better. Sometimes I will take giving away a little bit of a secret, but I always record some of the meetings that I host, and so then I will take that recording, take the transcript, and ask it to summarize it, and then I'm popping that into an email that I'm sending out as a recap email, so that so it's that stuff where it's it doesn't really thinking for me as more as it's doing more, I would say more administrative work. So what's the stuff that I'm doing on the computer that it could do better or faster or instead, so that I can be talking to people. And I think that's what agents really have to do, is what can it do that is maybe behind the screen so that you free up your time to be in front of people. That's where the agents can leverage it the best.
Yeah, that mindset of you're still the expert. And
and you're developing the relationship.
You're not relying on it.
I do get frustrated though, because, and I love Claude and it can create some really great stuff, but now I see people's social media posts, emails, and everything, and the visual graphics it produces are so I feel like just have that Claude look to them. Then I'm
know
like,
exactly
that
what
was
you're talking
Claude,
about.
that was Claude, that was Claude. Like come up with some, at least ask it to design it in a different font. You know, like try and make it look different because we're
Yeah.
just getting this like onslaught of content that all looks the same.
Yeah, and that's going to be everything. I mean, there's so much of that going around, and I think, and the backlash is already coming. Like the kids hate AI, and like anyone under 20 is like. I mean, you've seen it, all the graduation speeches that are getting booed when they mention AI, and like it's like cringe. It's like, and even for me, and I'm not a teenager, when I see that it's clearly AI flyers for a restaurant or for realtor stuff, I'm always like, this is just so horrible. It's like depressing. It's just, it looks so shitty. And what the most depressing thing is, most people don't even realize it. They're just like, oh yeah, it's content. Oh, that's fine. Most people actually can't recognize it. At least in our kind of age group, they just don't. And so I don't know. It's just a lot of slop out there.
That the authentic content will come through more.
Hopefully.
People will recognize that they want to know for sure that you're real. This isn't your avatar sitting here recording your podcast.
Well, so I had an interesting experience. Molly and I just went up to, we were in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. We were there for like a real estate media summit. And there was a speaker. He was like one of the bigger Josh, I can't remember his name. He was he's in the Canada real estate world. He's like the biggest podcaster. And he was talking about a presentation about AI, and he basically likened he was saying, you guys are all real estate media creators, right? And there's this term AI slop, right? And like, we of course all hate AI slop because we're creatives and we're whatever. And he's like, well, you guys are the top 1%, because actually what we've seen is that on the general consumer level, they love AI slop. And that's why you see so much of it, and they can't recognize it.
Wow.
And then he drew the parallel. He was like, look at the biggest companies out there. You have Walmart, you have Amazon, you have like McDonald's. What do they serve? Slop, right? It's the lowest common denominator. It's the cheapest stuff. It's like the worst stuff, right? And those are the biggest, most, essential companies to our economy. And basically he told the room, he's like, you guys should be producing slop. He literally said, just put out a bunch of garbage. And that was his solution. And everyone in the room was just like, go fuck yourself.
It's cringe. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like so depressing. Like everyone just walked out of there just like, oh my God. But then I got on stage and I fought back about it, but that's fine. But I think that we have to guard against that. But I think the answer for us is that we just have to double down on our creativity, double down on our authenticity, and hopefully that will come through. But man, I don't know. I just like the wisdom of the crowds in the United States right now doesn't seem very wise. And so I like,
attention to detail is lacking in a lot of things. I mean, I saw a for sale sign yesterday that was crooked, drives me crazy. I'm like,
that problem is on par
you
with
have
what I
one
was just
job.
describing. Yeah.
And same
About
when
the real estate photos with the toilet seats up.
Yeah, or the plungers. I'm like, just move it out of the way.
fix
This
it.
is somebody's $750,000 property, and it's a regular house, as you know, when we talk about affordability. But yeah, the attention to detail. And I know, which you probably agree, is when I get a contract from somebody, I can tell how the transaction's going to go if it is sloppy. Like you said, there's check boxes that are missed. There's details that just don't make sense. It's like, it's not that hard. We put it on the first 2 pages to make it easier.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
So Merilee, do you have a answer to all of this? I mean, do you have a solution?
I wish I did. Then I'd be one of those, the rich are getting rich. But no, I think that agents have to really just focus in on protecting that piece that can't be offloaded to AI. So that's the relationships and their skills and expertise. But they like spending more time with people and just focusing on those relationships, because at the end of the day, the clients do want a human to help them. They may not start out thinking that, but ultimately I think they do. It's kind of like at some point we'll have robotics doing all of our surgeries, but they want to talk to the doctor, right? So I think that we need to focus in on that.
Yeah, I heard, I think it was at that summit, someone said, because, we all talk about it too. What's the future? Are real estate agents going to exist in 5 years or 10 years? Or, how are they going to get paid? Who's going to pay them? How much are they going to get paid? How do we make sure we still get paid? And, all these big questions, right? And, but someone piped up and said, and I think he was one of the AI guys there, was like, homeowners, at the end of the day, they need that human. They need someone to tell them that they're right. They need someone to say, yes, you are doing the right thing. And that was like to him, like the most essential element of what you're doing. And obviously you guys are guiding them to the right decision. Hopefully you're holding their hand, but they need that confirmation that what they're doing is right, because it's so scary to be doing what they're doing, buying or selling.
ChatGPT loves to tell you you're right.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
It will always tell you you're right.
of course.
But I think that the AI is really good at anything that is duplicated over and over and over, right? Whereas each transaction, there's so much emotion and each house is so nuanced different that there's no cookie cutter solution to a real estate transaction. So yeah, the contracts and stuff like that can be very consistent, but at the end of the day, it's such each transaction is so unique. I think that it would be very hard to be fully replaced by AI.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. And then on a hopeful note, Merilee, thank you very much for coming in today. Yeah, God, I love it. We'll do it again, hopefully.
Yeah.
Katie, thank you too.
Thank you, Reed.
Yeah. Molly, Tessa, we appreciate you all as well. And of course, we appreciate everyone who's listening, everyone who is watching. Oh, where do we find you on social media? I've almost forgot.
Merilee Iverson on Instagram. Yeah, find me there.
Great.
The one and only.
The one and only. Yeah.
Yeah. Katie, I can never
Katie.Connolly.Realtor.
Yeah, Reedfish LYSM is me. And then, subscribe on our YouTube channel, our upmarket.media YouTube channel. And there you go. We'll be back with another episode soon. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Real VC is a production of Upmarket Media. This episode was produced by Molly Peart and edited by Tessa Nelson. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.